5,000 years ago, an ancient civilization thrived in the Indus Valley. They built great cities and a flourishing trade network. But today, those cities are gone, and all that's left is a dry riverbed and a few stray archaeological finds. So what happened to them? Ancient texts speak of a mighty river that flowed beside great cities where gods and humans once walked together. But today that river, the Sarasvati, has vanished. Along with it, the people who lived along its banks also seem to have disappeared. But a waterway that size doesn't just vanish, and scientists think they may have figured out what happened to it. First, we need to go back to the beginning. The Rig Veda, one of the oldest texts in the Vedic tradition, describes Sarasvati as a vast sacred river, home to great cities, trade, and Vedic culture. In fact, it may have been the most important river in the ancient world. But over time, the text's descriptions of its size and scope became more and more exaggerated, and eventually it turned into a myth. But that doesn't mean it didn't exist. Satellite imagery and geological studies suggest that a massive river system once flowed through what is now the Thar Desert in India and Pakistan, emptying into the Arabian Sea just north of the Indus. At its peak around 3300 BCE, it may have rivaled the Nile or the Yangtze in size. But sometime around 1900 BCE, the Sarasvati appears to have dried up, turning from a mighty river to a series of small streams and eventually disappearing into the desert. And scholars believe this may have contributed to the collapse of the Indus Valley civilization, forcing many to migrate east and giving rise to new cultural centers. But while the Indus cities were largely abandoned, life along the Sarasvati didn't end. Many communities stayed behind and built new settlements along the river's dwindling course. Some of these settlements grew into major cities like Kalibangan and Rakhigarhi, which archaeologists have dubbed the Indian Mohenjo-Daro because of its similar urban layout. But as the centuries passed, the Sarasvati's water kept receding until it was nothing more than a trickle. And by 500 CE, it had completely vanished, leaving behind a dry riverbed and a rich vein of archaeological sites. Most were absorbed into the shifting sands of the Thar Desert, but some, like Kalibangan and Rakhigarhi, were rediscovered in the 20th century. They may hold the key to understanding what happened to the Sarasvati and its people. What's clear is that a waterway that size doesn't just disappear, and recent studies suggest that the Indus and Sarasvati river systems were connected by a vast network of streams and canals, allowing people to travel and trade between them. If they can decode the secrets of the lost waterways, they may rewrite early Indian history and reveal a lost chapter of human civilization that rivaled ancient Mesopotamia and Egypt.